Okay, so it's the next day after I finished the first draft of the novel, and I just got out of the shower, so don't mind all this and the light change. It's dark, so it's a little bit better in the bathroom. And I just wanted to say that usually what authors will do after they finish a first draft is they'll take some time away from their novel so they can have a clear head, an open mind, yada yada yada. Most authors will try to do a month, if not more, but I'm gonna knock on the bathroom door. Right, so it's been one day and I'm already asking myself, so what am I gonna do now? What next? I've spent so long being so immersed into this story, into these characters, and I already don't know what I'm gonna do. So I was watching a bunch of other authortuber videos about how they go about their editing process. And Natalia Leigh, who is the self-published author of Song of the Dryad, which I have not gotten to yet, but I totally plan to in my series of trying to support an independent author at least once a month. What she likes to do is she'll actually edit like proof copies, like physical proof copies of her books on CreateSpace, which is Amazon's printing company, basically. So that's what she'll do. So she'll buy a copy, an edited proof copy, and she'll read it and write in all her physical edits into the book. And that's just different from people who either just straight up do the edits on the computer, or they'll just print out the manuscript and edit like that. So I figured, since I'm already going stir crazy and it's only been a day, I'm going to add in all the for sure scenes that I knew I wanted to add before I finished anyways, which I'll put on that wall of sticky notes that I was talking about in a different color, and I'll try to do a little time lapse of me doing that later. So I'm going to add in all of that first without editing anything else, basically, as long as I connect the new scenes with the old scenes. And then I figured, since it's going to take me a couple days to set up the account, and then it's going to take a couple weeks for me to even get the copy sent to me, hopefully that'll be enough time away from the novel so that when I read it, I'll be fresh, or whatever that they call it, fresh-minded, look at it differently. And then I'll do whatever type of editing I'm going to do. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do it yet, because a lot of authors obviously do it different ways. Some of them read the first draft and specifically look for plot holes, and then do other reads for specific things. Or if I'm just going to jot notes as I go, even in the first read through, no freaking idea. But I really like the idea of having the physical copy of the book, because then it seems more real. Like it's in your hands. Even if it's not the complete product, it's still your first step. And I think that's just as exciting as it being finished. And I'm so impatient that I would love to be able to just hold it. Even if it's just a black cover with the title, white text, doesn't matter. It's still going to be the first stage. So when I finally do get it published, again, whether traditionally or self-published, I'm unsure, I can have a whole shelf of those different stages. So that's what it's a couple days later after that previous clip of me fresh out of the shower. The lighting still kind of sucks. It's really dark in my room, but we're gonna go with it. So, like I was saying earlier, fellow indie author Natalia Leigh, Song of the Dryad, pick up her book. What she talked about is when she edits, she actually likes to get a physical copy of the draft printed out via KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing, I think. It's the Amazon company. So she basically just formats it, which is what you see on the inside, make sure everything fits in, all that stuff. And then she requests a proof copy. So she obviously doesn't set it out for publish because it's completely not done. But she gets a proof copy. So that's what I did. So yesterday, Monday, December 10th. Today's the 11th. I spent all morning before I have to go to work trying to format this freaking book. Something I've never done before, by the way, so I had to YouTube how to do it all by myself. Finally got it to work, so I ended up printing out 4 copies. And I thought about it for a while because, like I said in my first video, it's not where I want it to be. So I was a little bit afraid of sharing that, obviously. Even if it's just with my friends and family. But there's probably a couple people who would be hurt that I didn't let them read it anyways, or at least buy them a coffee. Mom. So I printed out a couple copies, 4 copies, for some specific people in mind, and I'm just gonna obviously tell them, like, hey, it's not done. It's not done whatsoever. There's already a couple things that I know that I'm probably going to want to add, so maybe I'll tell them that ahead of time so they can kind of keep that in mind. Some particular notes on, so there's particular areas that I want notes about, at least on this round of editing. So by the time that I complete the first round, this will be my first round of edits, hopefully the book will be at a place where I at least am happy with it before I go through more rounds of editing, after I give it to even more friends to get their opinions. Specifically, one of the areas that I'm looking for major notes in is the romance in the book. In my head, I know exactly how it works out. I know exactly how this couple's gonna end, but it's a lot harder than you think trying to put it on the paper. And like I said, it's bad. It's really bad. Like, if I was the reader, I would be like, what the fuck? Like, they start off one way and then completely do like a 180 at the end of the book. Like, there's no real transition, and so that's the part I'm looking for help. Like, what would my friends and family like to have seen? Like, what would make that transition believable? So like I said, I'm giving myself some space away from this novel, because even yesterday when I was formatting it, just reading it again, I was already like, oh, I'm so tired of it. So I'm gonna give myself some space. It's gonna take probably about 2 weeks to get those copies in my hand, and then I can do my own read through and notes, because I'm a much faster reader than most people, obviously. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a bunch of free writes, think about scenes that I want to add, again specifically with the romance, and just free write a couple scenes in my notebook so I have them on hand, or at least in the back of my mind. That way when I eventually add them in, I'll already have some ideas. What else was I going to say? Another, I guess, like a tip, to add like a tip into this update of my editing process is, so I always thought like I needed to hit a page goal, right? Like, I need 350 pages at least is what I aimed for. And I would hear a bunch of authors be like, oh, like, don't do it off of pages because it's gonna look different once it's in the format. Like, it just depends. Like, this book is completely different size than like this book. Granted, this is a hardcover, this is a paperback, but still, like, so it just depends. Like, a full page on like a normal Word doc isn't necessarily going to fit in your book depending on which size you get it printed at. So like, I finished my book at like 350, I don't know, 4 pages, Times New Roman, 12 font, I don't know, 0.25 on the borders. I don't know. Whatever. And so when I was putting it into the draft that I'm going to get, which is a 6x9, which is a little bit bigger than this copy, if you can kind of tell, a little bit bigger than this copy, it came out to like over 410 pages, and I was freaking shooketh. Like, just to me it was crazy. Like, wow, like I wrote 410 pages, but really it just depends. Like if the book that I printed out was going to be bigger, then the pages would be less. So I would definitely go based off a word count. It's about 100,000 words, is around probably 400 pages in like your average printed copy. So that's just one tip that I figured out along the way. And formatting is a bitch. Let me tell you that. It is really tedious and really difficult. So we'll see how it turns out when I get it. If like the pages are all jacked up, if the borders are all weird. I got no freaking idea. I've never done this before. As long as it was gonna let me publish it, I was like, fuck it. I just need it for like my own proof anyways. So if I end up going the indie route, which seems more and more likely, there are people like cover designers will do like a package deal where they will do the formatting with the cover design. But since cover design is like further down my line, obviously my book's not even anywhere near done, maybe I'll practice some more with the formatting myself until I'm comfortable enough to do it on my own, and then maybe I'll do like a little video about how to do that if anyone's interested. It's coming from someone who's, again, never done it before. So we'll see how it turns out. And I guess maybe I'll do like a title reveal in my next video or something like that, because on my proofs is the working title, which I'm pretty sure is going to be like my real title. I might switch it around a little bit, but since I'll want to show or do like an unboxing video, you're gonna see the title, so I guess I should probably reveal that. But anyways, so that's all my updates I have for you on my editing process / how I'm gonna decide to go about my first draft. So I'm gonna read a bunch more in my spare time to get some ideas, get my creativity sparked again, do a bunch of free writes for scenes that I want to add in. Just think about it as like a whole, and think about it as what it's like in my head versus looking at it on the paper. Because when you're looking at it on the paper and trying to figure out what you want to add, it's a lot more difficult, obviously, because you might need to change the whole chapter. You might need to change the previous chapter, the next chapter. You might need to change the whole fucking book. Like, who knows? So I'm not gonna worry about that until later. Just do some free writes. I'm going to Portland this weekend to go visit a couple of my friends, so I'm so excited. Definitely gonna bring my notebook so I can jot down some scenes there, drink some delicious Dutch Bros coffee and anything else that's local that they're gonna recommend. And then hopefully, I should definitely have it within the next like week or two before the end of the year. But we'll see. So like I said, that's all I have for you. It's a bunch of jumbled mess. I just splood out a bunch of information to you, which is basically kind of how it is in my head. And there goes my dog, so I guess I really should end this. So I'll see you next time. Bye.